Let's test this sound. We are doing now a late day Q&A for Trade Ideas here. So looks like my sound is good. If anybody can see me, hear me, let me know in the questions panel. Open forum here we're going to do. So fire away the questions, everybody. Looks like there's a few eyes on here. So again, Chris Varley with Trade Ideas doing a late day Q&A. Fire away the questions here in the questions panel, kind of an open forum. Try to make some stuff up as I go, keep us engaged. If not, see some more viewers coming in. So again, fire away some questions. Keep me engaged, keep us engaged. Joe, how are you? So what you see here on my screen is more or less what I run during the trading day, although I'm considering kind of changing things up when doing these Q&As. Goal here is to get these Q&As going daily at 3:30, Monday through Friday. So today is kind of a test day for it here. And the way we'll run it is, as long as there's people coming in, we'll keep the stream going. We'll keep this as an option. We don't see enough traffic and a reason to keep it going. We'll cut it. We'll cut the stream. So we'll go around the horn a little bit here today. Get a brag day for Holly here. Bring over my drawing tools. Always fun to have. Going over some of this stuff. So some pretty good stuff if we look at Holly here, especially on risk on. You can see here, on the moderate profit, which is our risk on, is what we call that now. Really solid stuff here, moving throughout the day. If we look on percentage basis up here, we can see that's really well up above the conservative. I don't really like to look at aggressive, so I'm going to do that for now. Get rid of aggressive. For those are not aware, aggressive means trading without a stop, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but if you're going to trade without a stop, just head to Vegas or Atlantic City or Reno or open a DraftKings account or something. You'll probably fare better gambling than you will trading without a stop. So again, I can see a few people are chiming, watching in. Questions panel's open. Again, it's an open forum. Try to come up with some filled airspace. If not, if we don't have questions, I guess we can take a look here at some of these alerts that came in from Holly today. If you're not aware, Holly is our artificial intelligence engine. She has a set of trading strategies, maybe about 50 or so base strategies every day after the market closes. Thousands and thousands of simulations get done, optimizes and adjusts all the filters in those strategies, spits back out what looks like it will work the best the coming day, best win percentage, best profit factors, and then if anything meets the filter requirements of those strategies, we're going to get an alert just like we saw here today. So she's pretty active today. We're looking at, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, about 14 trades there from Holly today. 15 trades from Holly today. 14, 15, yes, 15 trades from Holly today. CF, really great alert. Got it marked with this arrow that's here. Excuse me, it was a bullish pullback strategy that she had CF in. And so you can see on this 15-minute candle here, it was a down candle. She wicked down and she actually got right towards the, well, not quite the bottom of that candle, but we can see here where this blue line comes in, where I'm going over pink, just below the base of that candle where it had opened. So as that started to pull back more on that downward open of that candle, Holly's algorithm fired, and she had a little wiggle here before she got us in the money, and arranged for about an hour there or so before we made our next leg up. We made another range here. I'm having trouble breaking that range now, though. We sit right at the top of it. About 25 minutes going into the close. So, we look at my compare count windows here, and we can see that everything is starting to move up in those compare count windows, both the buyers and the sellers. So we'll see what that means for closing out Holly. But I would say that in the moderate mode, the risk on mode, she's still looking kind of good. See a question from Raymond here. So on days like these, when there's so many opportunities, how do you go about choosing one? I would say this, Raymond. Have a trading strategy already in mind. Know what you like to look for in charts, whether it be daily, 15-minute, 5-minute, 1 minute. I use kind of a combination of charts personally. That's why you see a 5-minute, a 15-minute, and a daily chart here for me. So if I go through these, as biased as I can be here, tell you things that would look good to me. I liked CF actually today. I didn't trade it. I didn't really do much trading today. But what I liked about CS is you have a gap up here, right? And we started to hold that gap. Then, of course, Holly coming into it, that never hurts us for liking that. But when it tried to pull back, you could see that it just couldn't quite make that pullback. You had a good relative volume even to this point in the day here. So that was really humming back here where you see those bigger volume bars before we get flat here on that volume. So these are all things that on this alert, where I wouldn't have chased right away on that gap up, but I probably would have been more looking on this candle here is where I would have probably more been looking and looking for that breakout there. So that's kind of how I would have done it, based on my trading strategy. Let's see if I can find a winner that I would not have traded. This one maybe a little bit. I'm not crazy, especially about when I start to see tails like this. That makes me nervous with the buyers and the sellers. And on a 5-minute chart, to me, that looks very ugly. It doesn't catch my eye quite as well. So, that's how I would go about curating and looking at this. And, you don't have to jump right in all these trades. And yes, some you're going to let go and you're going to wait for a 5-minute candle to close or 15-minute candle to close, and you're going to miss that opportunity. It's certainly better than getting in something that's going to reverse on you right away. If we look back here, let's just go back to CF real quick again. There was a lot of time to get in this trade and let it set up. All right. And so other things that we can look at here is, all right, we have our gap and go. Now we've held the gap on the first 15 minutes. Okay. And now we're making higher lows this whole way through. So, the alert comes in on this candle and you had 2 more 15-minute candles to really start to make a decision there. And, as traders, you want to play in the big leagues, you got to hit the big pitches. So, at some point here in that 45 minutes, you had a good amount of time to decide, is this got the meat on it or not? We can also play the psychological game to the fact that we alerted at 51.93, and anybody that's been trading for a little bit knows that whole numbers are a big deal to traders, psychological level. So 52 is going to be a tough level to get through. And when we knew it was through 52 and held that, it just gives us another confirmation that between this gap up and these higher lows, putting the odds and statistics in our favor, essentially. So, that's what we do. Educated guessing, if you want to dumb it down some. So I hope that kind of helps, Raymond. We'll kind of see if we can select another few here and go through this list and look at winners and losers. So, doing it from both sides, short and long here. And the same kind of thing here. So, she top ticks it here. Not going to lie, that's you don't see that too often, but it's a great call. All right. And then you have the breakdown here, all right, where she actually got in. So she's in on this candle. You have another 15 minutes, and then you have this 15 minutes here. And we start to break this range. Look at this range that's here now, all right? Off this opening break, 15-minute break. So those are the things that you want to look for. What are the things that you're looking for? Another thing that what I would have been looking for is we have what we call a green bar ignore here. So what a green bar ignore is this green bar is sandwiched in between these two red bars, and the tops and bottoms of these red bars engulf the entire green bar here. And we could take it even further with the wicks of them too. So this wick even coming up above the wick of that green bar. But the full body of the bars are both engulfing on those red bars, that green bar. So once again, just giving us some more confirmation bias to what side that trade was going. And again, really liquid stock today, doing 7.5 times its volume over the last 10 days, even to this point in the day. 26.5 million shares traded. That's nothing to sneeze at whatsoever. It's extreme liquidity there. So, these are the things that catch my eye. Again, MTTR, while it was a nice winner, especially back in here, probably something I would have stayed away from. Just the look of this chart it doesn't appeal to me as a trader. And again, it's a winner, but I can biasly say that I probably would not have entered that. This would have been a chart more to my liking, I would say. And again, what's our strategy here? Volume doesn't lie. I don't know about that on that. Only 400,000 shares traded today, so I'll have to go back and look at the reason why volume doesn't lie. Would catch something not quite as liquid as I want. But we can see here, made a good opening range break. And we set up this range now, all right? She makes this alert. We never break that range. We start to catch back up to this big momentum line here. This is an 8 EMA. So some like the 10 SMA, some like a 9 EMA. I use an 8 EMA. Catching that momentum line there, really never look back again after that. So again, these are the things that we try to look at here. And we can take it one step further and we can come here. So on this blotter, here's the actual trades that were done with Holly. We'll move over here. And now we can see what the win percentages on the back tests were for these coming into today from yesterday's data and the profit factors. Okay. And she pretty much held true to what she was doing today. So, bullish pullback fired a few times really successfully. All right. So we could see that came in with a 71.4%. Let's see, did breakout. Had one trade today. So the two trades here are winners for that. We had one trade in breakout. All right. Nice winner there. And this is based on risking $100 based on her stop. That's where these numbers come from on how much money would have been made here on those. So that's where those numbers are. So if we'd risked $100 based on that stop, that's what we would have done today on these trades, assuming we got the fill, depending on the spreads, of course. Sometimes we got to work a spread a little bit. All right. Downward dog, 1 for 1. All right. Pull back long, not so much, but not a big loser here either. All right. Same thing here, tailwind. So we can see what these win percentages were coming in and start to match that up with what we know as a trader, what we look at as a trader on the charts, and with what Holly is telling us here. So, let me know if there's other questions, things that people want to know, see, demonstrated. That's what we're doing here. We'll come back, take another look at the blotter here. And Let's see, exit reasons. Only one stop hit today. Now, when you look at Holly and you see exit reasons, the exit reason is always going to be the conservative exit, all right? Because moderate means that we're selling on the close, actually, all right? So we got a few minutes before close comes in, and we get a technical moderate exit here. We used to call these risk on and risk off before we swapped them around on those names. Excellent. Glad that helped Raymond. If you got other questions, please fire away here. This is what we're want to ease that learning curve. We do a noon Eastern Q&A every day. Not everybody can make those. So 3:30, we've got the support power, it looks like now. So as long as we get some engagement and some action in this here, I'll be doing this Monday through Friday, 3:30 to 4:30. If there's good engagement going on up into 4:30 and I don't have other personal prior engagements, I'll keep the stream open even. Let's see what else we had working here from Holly before we dive into some other stuff. So QS was big early and looks like that held. So I believe that was a pullback. Yep, bullish pullback. So there's our two bullish pullbacks that really did well. All right. And volume lie, 1 out of 2. So we got to reduce risk. So it was a loser and conservative. Volume doesn't lie here on TGLS. So let's look at some of these losers here that we have. So TGLS, was a reduced risk. All right, a later day. And let's see here. What do we got going on? This downward slope here. Not the best looking daily, but, it started off nice with this gap up and it held for the day. It was curling down with I'm guessing the market. Yeah. So we can bring over a SPY chart. Now we can see how, positions are affected. So if we look here on this 15-minute SPY chart, if I give a zoom, the timing pretty much matches up right there. So as the SPY started to sell off, so did this position, unfortunately. So this was index dependent, wasn't moving alpha on its own like some of these other trades that are the winners of the day here. Yeah, let's just take one more look here. So see if these are selling off with the market, any of these winners, or if they're holding their own. So no, you can see here, these guys are holding their own regardless of what the market's doing right now. Get a little wobbly here, but all the same, you don't have that curve down like you were just seeing. You can start to see she's making some timed exits here, Holly, as we're flashing. So another loser here from Holly we'll take a look at. This is a stop gets hit. We're looking at pushing the spring here as a strategy. All right. And I could see why she entered it here. The way that these wicks were coming in just wasn't quite there for her today. So, fairly liquid stock is 1.1 mil shares traded to this point. Just under 2 on that relative volume. Warner Music Group. So, but if we look in here, you've got this big range bar here on that opening 15 minutes. All right. And, really kind of all over the place here on that price action. So definitely something very whippy. These big tails and things like that, those are cautionary tale for me as a trader personally. So again, see it's a sparse crowd of 8 in here, but please, chime in, questions, anything like that. We're doing a little internal chatting here about some different things that we're working on in support. So again, open forum here. Fire away the questions. Um, I have a list here of things that I'm watching. Been running it actually in a live simulator. No real risk to it though. Just buying one share of things, testing some stuff out with our E-Trade, and finding that perhaps symbols list and curation of automation trading is really kind of the way to go, I'm finding. So what I've done is I've used the my like symbols here, or my liked function. And what I do is I click the heart in the chart when certain charts interest me. I take it a step further though, because there are things on here that interest me that aren't trading much, but there's other reasons, long-term reasons that I'm watching some of these stocks. So I've created a symbols list that I've called it an automation list, if you will. And I go through every single morning, look at what that stock did the previous day, what the chart looks like, what the volume looks like, and I create an alert window, very simple alert window here. We come into the configure of it. And all I'm doing here with this alert window is telling it that I want to see 75,000 shares traded today. It's got to be 75% above the low of yesterday's range. Strategy won't start till at least 15 minutes into the day. And the average daily volume has got to be at least 300,000 shares for the last 5 days. So I know that I'm trading something that I can get in and out of that's fairly liquid enough. We can make some trades in that. We've hooked it up to E-Trade and running it where it just buys one share at a time. And today this list was getting the results of it now, absolutely on fire. So it's a good way to use your own trader's eye instead of having 15, 20 alert windows and you're looking at all these alert windows and running around like a dog chasing his tail, not sure what do I enter, what do I not enter. Well, why not take what looks like the best setups to you? Look at some things the way they closed the previous day. Maybe look at what's gapping up in the pre-market, gapping up with some volume. Add a few of those stocks to that list, that symbols list, or my like list, or however you want to do that. And then from there, you can attach that to an alert window. Which, what do you want to see it as a new high or some kind of pullback, and curate that data yourself, giving yourself the best actionable options that are out there for your trader's eye, if you will. So let me know if any of that makes sense, or you want me to go over in more depth how I do that. And again, like I said, this is, I'm coming with no pre-done content here. So fire away questions, fire away questions. Something I can bring over as we're coming into the close now. How I start to search for new symbols to come onto my list. I have a scan. I just call it my evening scan, nothing fancy here. And I go through this scan usually after market closes. Probably going to be fairly accurate to what it will be when the market closes, unless there's any real big dump that goes on right now. I start to go through these different stocks and look at how they may or may not fit my criteria. Something like that absolutely does not fit my criteria. I like to look for kind of more cup and handle pattern like things, especially on daily charts that look like they could be breaking out of a range. So let's go through Cnqs. Now, this is something that really starts to catch my eye here. So I've got QSs on my list. QS was traded by the AI. If you followed the AI as long as I have, you know that it can really put some stocks on your list that make some runs. I love the way that this is held for the whole day. I like this pattern moving up here. We look on a daily chart here. We're doing some bottom fishing for sure, and it's up a few days in a row. However, kind of clearing this whole area here, and you got room up into the 30s, it looks like now. Now, I'm not saying it gets there, obviously, but you can draw a line there. All right. Let's move this line here. So this looks like it had been some resistance that it broke out of today. I'm going to drop that line and see what happens. I believe we'll see it come across here, so we can see that this line was a significant line, I do believe, in price action for this stock, actually. Very actionable again today. Look at this, doing almost 5 times its normal volume the last 10 days. I'm going to hit 33 million shares traded in a moment here. So, that's something to keep an eye on over the next few days. Does it continue from here? Who knows? But we can create a list of high probability stocks like that. Anybody that's traded long enough knows you only need a few good trades a week to really make that money. So again, any questions here, guys? I've someone coming into our other live chat for some support that I'm helping right now too. So tumbleweeds blowing from you all. So again, I have someone I think is going to be coming over, actually asking a few questions about some different time frame positions and ranges. So until they get there, we'll continue to kind of cruise along here on what we're looking at. Let's take a look at ENVX. I believe this is actually a lithium company. Am I right? Yes. So lithium has been a kind of a big play recently, it looks like. Threw a few of those stocks on my list today that I was watching. One of them happens to be SIL. So, I got an alert here at 8:18 this morning. Price 8:18, of course, at 9:45 this morning. And, pulled back, headed back. Okay, so Peter, you're in here, all right? And you can also, you can type in this panel here, so. So what you can do, Peter, here is these are alert windows that I've already created, or different scans that have already been created. But if any window, whether you're starting new or going to edit something, we can come into the configure here and give you a snapshot of what we've got here. So you were looking for 10. So we have our position. It's going to give us a list of all these. So I've searched in here, and let's see here. So we've got a 5-day position range, 10-day, 20-day, year, and what's 52 weeks? How do we do 52 weeks again? Let's see. Okay, so 52 week actually is something that's a custom we can do and add for you into your account. I don't think it's anything too complicated. I just have to look on the formula editor page. But so yeah, we can get you 52 week highs for sure, 52 week lows, a position in those, as well as the ones that are already in here right off the bat out of the box. Nothing complicated. Oops, nothing complicated about any of that there, Peter. So let me know. If you have other questions or you want to see something else demonstrated, it's a live Q&A, free for all, open forum, anything we want to talk about. I just fill airtime when nobody has anything to say or ask or wants demonstrated. And give you an idea of how much stuff we're working with here, Peter. In our alert windows, when you see these kind of icons like this, these are all different alerts or events that can be attached to the alert window. Alert window is a two-fold function or two-fold scan, so it needs an alert or event. Then you attach that with, when you see these icons are about to change to kind of a tealish purple set of colors here, so these become our filters. So an alert or event has to happen, like one of these here, and then we have our filters here, and this is an extensive list of filters here. When those two conditions are met, stock will be alerted, timestamp to the second when that alert came in. So let me know, Peter, if you have other questions. I've got you in, the other chat. I still see you over there in that. And if you don't have any other questions there, Peter, I'll drop some stuff here. And if you're interested, Peter, we do have our test drive coming up here in a couple of weeks. It's 2 weeks. It's a fixed 2-week period, runs from October 11th to October 22nd. It is $11.11. You get complete and full access to the platform minus live automated trading from the AI. You can simulate the AI automated trading, but we don't just hand the keys out to live automation on the test drive. So if you were interested in the test drive, I dropped the link over there for you in that chat. And let's see here. You were just interested in signing right up. I'll drop a link for that too here with a discount code if you like here. So there's that link to sign up. And yeah, test drive will give you real time everything. Like, the only thing you don't get in the test drive is going to be the ability to automate the AI live. That's it. Everything else is real. It's two main sets of scans that we run. We have the alert list, the A windows that you see, that A in the top corner, and you can see each one of these is timestamped to the second when the alert came through. And we would call top list here. And these are a 30-second return and refresh from the server. So these are only filters. So if we come into the configure here, as it takes its sweet time to load for me. Stage fright, sorry. Might have to reset my connection here, sorry. There we go. If we come in here into the summary, it'll only list the filters in the top list here. There's no alert or event that needs to be attached to it. So for example, on this alert window, I need a new high on the day with the filters being met in order to get that to trigger. So that's how that works. So again, leaving the open forum here. Fire away some questions on me here, just following some other chats that are going on. I'll jump back here. So market is closed on us now. We'll kind of fly through some of these here. So VERI popped up here. That was not here before. And again, live Q&A for you guys to ask around here. So, but we'll see, pop some stuff around here on what my evening scan is here. So DATS, DAT chat, communication, and repair maintenance. Not a whole lot of information for us to look at. But, new issue coming out of this nice base here. Cleared that. So, not a lot of information to work with that. Fairly new issue. Something not going to catch my eye too much. I'll take a look here. I believe this is we saw early. Yeah, it's a heck of a trading range on the day here today. I have to believe that there were some big time bag holders that bought somewhere in here, sat through a lot of heavy pain through here before getting their return there. Very uncomfortable trade, I would have to say, if you were involved in that. That is why I stay away from those the best I can. And again, I see 14 in here now, so please, I'm just kind of filling airtime here till we wrap up at the mid-hour mark or so. I will keep it open. I will continue to talk. I will interact if people are going to interact in the questions panel. If not, I will wrap it up about 4:30 or so. So anyways, we got Very here. This is one of those stocks that can go on crazy runs. I remember this from, maybe it was 2017 or something like that. Summer 2017. I think it had some crazy, insane run. Let me squish this chart in and go back. Scroll back in time here. Let's pop it out and get it bigger. Duplicate it into a free floating window. Like to go back and look at histories on charts, see what a stock is capable of doing. Interesting basing patterns here, cup and handles on this daily chart. You can see that I've had some interest in it well in the past. There we go. That's what I was looking for. And it was fall of 2017. That was close. So that was I do remember that. It was my first year in trading. Thought I was going to nail stuff like this all the time. And no, not so much. You can see Holly's not fared very well on it, to be honest, on a long-term basis. But I'd imagine some of those intraday alerts were pretty good alerts for her. So, these are the things I like to look at. As much history as I can get. We can go back pretty far here and look at some stuff, and we can see, even some recent runs here. Get rid of that extra chart here. Let's get back to a more recent time frame. And so things that I like here about this, and I'm going to put it on my list. Although tomorrow might be a bit of a chase, but it closed strong, so we like that. Okay. We beat on this line. We can see over and over again. And let me zoom back out just a touch. But that line, I can promise you, I probably have not looked at Very since at least this time last year, around in November, December of last year. So that line is obviously some pretty big significance there for it to just kind of bouncing off that nonstop. And again, I like these patterns here. I like when stocks do this. I like these bases here. So we'll see, a little bit of room there. It's a terribly drawn line. We'll just use the one that's here already, well below, and stick that there. So a little bit of room there. Definitely got some interest to that. Again, I see there's 18 in here. Please ask some questions. What we're doing here, we're looking at Trade Ideas software, live Q&A. This is what we call my evening scan here that I created. This is stock. I've already been watching this. This was on my automated list today. Angie, we got an alert at 12:58 on that right here. It was just beautiful all day long off that alert. So this is why I think that this kind of way of automation is the way to go. Anybody watching, I'm a cautious person when it comes to automation and trading. Automation gets, I think, a bad rap because people want to see, the pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, a money printer. Press play, you walk away, go out, play a round of golf, meet your friend for lunch, stop at the bank. That's not what automation is. Not to me, anyways. I'm not saying that that's not possible. It's not something I'm going to be ever doing myself. Not in that sense. So I believe we went over this before. Lithium ion here, EVs. Alternative ways to play EVs making their way back into the fold. ERJ is something I've been watching for a long time. I've been trading it since sometime last year. Big, massive gap up today. Maybe they had news. No earnings. So it must have been news, I'm guessing. I don't really look at the news. Again, I'm seeing the viewers tick up here. So please fire away some questions here. So if you wonder what makes me interested in this, that I've traded it several times since last year, look at these patterns here. These are the kinds of things I look at. So you kind of a cup and handle here. You get that long swathing cup and the handle. All right, we kind of see it just play out over and over again here. Take it on a bigger time frame here. We got that going on here. Now the question is, does it do that here with this gap up? And we make another cup and handle? Not sure. Upgraded today. Thank you, EK. So there you go. Upgraded today. And we'll see what happens there. Let's see if it got what's AZUL sympathy play of that. I believe that's another Brazilian aircraft. So no sympathy here for AZUL. I believe GOL is a Mexican one. So, these are things that I keep in mind. Related. No sympathy play really from there. Some gap ups on it, but the market was gapping up anyway. So really nothing extra to that there. And continue down this list. Nothing that interests me other than the fact that it's in energy, and I've been pretty bullish energy since the beginning of the year. But the chart doesn't overly interest me. I, had a couple of big days yesterday and today. So, becomes kind of a chase there. I've got room up to there, but all the same, not making my list today. Keep on down the line. RMO. Giving me a whole lot of information here. So, energy technology company delivering large scale electrification solutions for complex commercial applications. All right, so interesting space to be in for sure, but not so much on that chart. You got to wonder how many people bought here and will continue to distribute their shares anytime the stock makes any sort of attempt to make a move up. So that's what I would look at for that. Do have a positive RSI convergence in the price action, trying to curl up here the last few days, but all the same, I'm not huge on bottom fishing, and especially when that bottom fishing involves something like that right there. One other fun feature, if you're not familiar, we have drawing tools right on the charts. So you draw your horizontal trend, and you put some text on there. We can add an arrow, and here we have an anchored VWAP by Mr. Brian Shannon at Alpha Trends. So we throw that anchored VWAP on there, and that's that purple line that just came in. So, it starts to capture some of these moving averages here. I've got a 50, 20, and an 8 EMA. You can't really see them that great. Maybe we'll try to zoom in a little bit, get a better picture of those. All right. You can see the 8 EMA is crossing the 20 SMA. The 20 is blue. The 8 is red. This is a 50 SMA there. Maybe the anchored VWAP from that high starts to become a magnet. Again, bottom fishing that I'm not going to do, but this is what we do. We generate ideas. What works for you? What works for your eye? What's part of your trading plan? How do you want to generate those ideas? This one, pharmaceuticals, you got to be careful of pharmaceuticals. But again, this is the pattern that I look for here. So I got that there. Made this run up. Held here. And we start to do this again here. So cup and handle again, but you want to be careful. It is a pharmaceutical. You never know what the FDA is going to say and crush them. And still, again, questions panel there. So fire away, anybody. Fire away the questions, please. This is Q&A to learn the software and not listen to possibly one of the most mediocre traders of all time talk about charts. FCEL, FCEL. This was being talked about a little bit by anybody familiar with Andy that I work with here. He was discussing this a little bit today. This and plug he had some interest in. Pretty solid, holding that 815 EMA all day long today here. So broke the 5 there, recaptured it here, kind of held it going into the rest of the day before it broke right off at the end of the close, where we had a little bit of selling off on the close. Again, we're back above 440 again on the SPY, so we've erased the quote unquote damage of the last bear market that lasted 2 days. And take a look here, move this down. And you see we start to possibly run into that resistance there. Yeah, I'm going to put it on the list. Why not? I don't know if it'll make the automation list. Party City, right? Yeah, Party City. This is one, it's got a good trading range to it here, Yeah, it's $6 there, $10 there, over a short period of time. So I think can move a little bit here. Had a decent day today, 8 and change on percent there. Nothing there in the pattern that I particularly like. I mean, I do like that, but kind of in no man's land where you go from here with all this kind of mess above it. All the same, we look, we find the ideas. My numbers are dropping here on viewers. Must be boring you all to death. Nothing there. Therapeutics, anyways. This, I do like this. What are we looking at here? Acquisitions. So, SPAC-like, if you will. And again, what do I like here? I like that. And I like that. That's what I like. We're breaking this resistance here. Looks like the train's starting to leave the station. As we do that, next shot's up there somewhere around the $9 range, I'm guessing, right? Let's take a look on the chart. Just over 9. So, psychological numbers here. Probably ran just about 9. Got rejected here on that run up. So, this is another one we're going to put on the my liked, and later on we'll decide if it makes the curated automation list. And so again, this is how, this is what I do to trade. I can't, I like to use the words I can't, but I am not particularly keen at trading things that are whipping all over the place, huge ranges early, especially in the day, larger spreads, for example, like we saw with this here. Is it just not my cup of tea to trade? That's all there is to it. It's what I thought I was going to be doing when I was teaching myself to do all this, before I came to work for Trade Ideas and, first learned all this stuff like this and, what's an SMA and all those. I learned, I learned very slowly. It took me about 2 years to give up thinking that I was going to trade stuff like this. It's just not something I do. That's all there is to it. I had to figure out who am I as a trader. And one of the ways that I figured out who I was as a trader was journaling all my trades, winners and losers. I found the same common denominators in all my losers, and I found the same common denominator in all my winners. And from that, I was able to start to build a trading plan for myself, how I share size, why I enter a trade, what interests me in charts, why were these winners winners, why were these losers losers, So that's, how I did that. Let's keep moving along. I think we just left on ACTG. Yeah, so we left off an ACTG, a LLO. What do we got there? So sorry, just I see a support chat going on and letting them know I'm doing a live Q&A if they are so interested. So start to look again. Now I'm biased to this pattern, so I'm probably going to see it a lot easier than other people do because it's what I want to see, and I'm willing to accept that that's the way the mind works. We see what we want to see a lot of times. Um, maybe a reversal off this bottom here. It's a big day to go chasing that tomorrow, but it's liquid. 1.8 mil shares traded, doing a little more than 3.5 times its 10-day volume. When I say a little more than 3.5 times its 10-day volume, our relative volume filter is a 10-day average, 10 candle average, if you will, on daily candles. It is now weighted currently at heaviest at the open and close. So in the middle here doesn't carry quite as much weight on the ratio, but all the same, the idea behind it is to say at its current pace, this stock is on track to trade this much above its 10-day average. And that's the way that filter works. And that's not to be confused with volume today percent, which is also a great filter. If we look here, search, we go to volume today, and this filter does something very similar. Again, it's 10 days. However, this is going to give you what the exact percentage is now. That's it. It doesn't give you, I don't want to say that relative volume is necessarily a projection, but more of a projection, if you will, with those weights, with the way it's weighted, where this is going to say, this is what this has done to this point. It's done this percent above or below its 10-day average. The other big difference between these two filters is relative volume does not work outside of regular market hours. Volume today does work outside of regular market hours. So for those of you that are looking for pre-market scanners, you can use that filter instead. So for example, if you were to have a stock that, let's say by 8 a.m. Eastern in the pre-market had done, let's say 25% of its volume over a 10-day period, you know that you've got something really cooking to have done that much volume in the pre-market already without the regular market hours. So that's how, we can use the different filters in the different periods of time of the market looking for what we want. And so sometimes I know people get caught up, well, your relative volume filter doesn't work in the pre-market, but we have other options that are just as viable and are going to return just as good of data. Anywho, with that said, ALLO, interesting. I'm going to mark it on here for fun. I don't think it'll be doing anything tomorrow for us, but we'll see if it can hold this reversal from here and here, making these higher lows. We're clearing this kind of range here and see if it can do something towards this range here. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. And that's why we'll put it on the my liked and see what it does over the coming days. P10, something I've been watching on and off for a long time. Again, energy. I like energy. P10 can definitely get some nice price action on it. We can see from these these candles back here, some of these bigger candles, some nice movement here. Almost 200 mil in the float, give or take. So it does take some interest to get it moving. However, we can see today, 61 cents, not a bad move for an $8 stock. All right. I've already had it my hearted for a long time. Like I said, something I've kind of traded in and out of. And again, I see the numbers around 17 here. So, fire away with questions, guys. Let's continue on here. Just trying to, someone's in one of our other support chats asking some questions. So I was trying to give a little assist there. IMAX. So I know I had a big day a week or two ago. Yeah, so back here, had that big day. Made a pullback. Made another big day today. And, IMAX. What do you know? It was traded by Holly today. I didn't even notice that. So let's see. We had Count Demon, 1774 entry. Um, that's what it's giving me for a last price here. Closed right about 1790. So not a whole lot of alpha on that. Also not a whole lot of wiggle, and very far from the stop. So, but of some significance here, we're clearing some resistance. So if we mark up this chart, we can see here we're starting to clear this resistance, and just happen to draw that line, not arbitrarily, but I drew it based on this resistance here, and we can see here on the 15-minute chart, after we cleared this line, that line became support here later in the day. All right, doesn't always have to touch, but the idea is that we never closed below that line again, setting up into the next day. So again, we ask ourselves, Holly, statistical probability, does this go on a run here? Certainly has some room up here to the 20 range for sure. So again, that's something that we can look at, we can track it and curate our list once again. Just chiming in over here on another chat. IMAX, AR. This has also already been on my list and traded. I believe we got an alert on it today. Yep, right here on the automation list. So 1719. Very nice alert. Up a buck off the close of yesterday. Got the alert in this candle from my list. And just a beautiful move all day long. Really held strong right into the close. Again, energy. If you I try not to pay attention to the news as much as possible, but it looks like the EU or the UK is now paying the highest energy prices in their entire history for everything. They're literally running out of gas apparently. So bad for the people, good for the energy sector. Look at this here. Look at this here. And we're coming across that big time resistance. We're way off any sort of lifetime high, but going back, there's just been a steady climb here. Other than this pullback right there, and that's it. And that was after energy had made a big run up, had a bit of a crash for all the energy indexes, and continues to make a big move here. I'm going to squash this way a little bit. Squash this way a little bit so I can zoom out more. And now take a look, because I saw Holly had made some buy signals back here. Has gone on quite a run since Holly made those buy signals. Now, I'm not saying that it's realistic to think that you can make that buy and hold this whole way, but it is realistic to think that you could have made this buy and held on some of this for sure, especially when you've got a stock down this low, moving a couple of dollars. That's a huge percentage move. So again, kind of big deal stuff. And Holly has her bad days. She has some very, very, very bad days. But that's why, you take things over a lifetime, not over a month. So let's see here. Still no other questions coming in. Sorry, just trying to keep track of a few other things going on. So let's bring up the scan here again. So AR, we went over that. LEV. And the Lion Electric. Zero emissions vehicle. Interesting. Commercial trucks, so on and so forth. They even have any sales? See, revenue, 15 mil. Not exactly setting the world on fire here with that. So not something I'm terribly interested in overall anyways. Some of the EV plays I'm kind of looking at as longer term plays. Anybody that's had me before in any of the earlier Q&As when I fill in LTHM, LAC are some things I'm looking at as longer term lithium plays. But, interesting here close, very strong close on that. We like that on the daily chart, breaking some resistance. So now we got some room up to there. Let's get rid of that. And let's take a look here. Moving averages can be magnets. VWAP all the same as it is a type of moving average. And we can see the anchored VWAP from this high here. And this is a fairly new issue. All right. Kept the price under pressure there. It continues to draw down as the price now starts to draw up to that VWAP. So for all we know, LEV has a date with $15 or so. Like I said, I do like the EV plays, so we're gonna check that. People hear EV, of course, they think Tesla right away. There's a lot of other ways to look at that, so that's what we'll go with that. APA, I know it's another gas and oil. I've been watching this for a long time. Same kind of thing here. So, the chart kind of speaks for itself, a little bit erratic. But, natural gas is through the roof recently. Nobody's really paying for heat yet, so we'll see what happens for heating season. But, the supply is not there, and the demand certainly will be. So these are things to consider. But we're going to look at this, and while it's not a pattern I particularly care to look at or think about too much, head and shoulders possibly. So we'll see what happens there. This is obviously a big deal, this line. Seen the price action dance it a whole bunch all through here. All right, so that's what we look at. Got another great day out of it today, all the same though. And that got alerted here at 9:45 and 40 seconds at 20:37. So like I said, I've been tracking this one for a long time. Took the alert on the automation list here and did fairly well, I would say, on that. So again, this scanner was not looking at the whole stock market. This was only looking at about 35 stocks or so. That was it. And those 35 stocks had to meet the criteria of this scanner. So, narrowing down that list is a big deal, I think, and very, very underrated, to say the least. So again, open forum. We've hit 4:30. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes of overtime here. But if nobody chimes in, I am going to close the session. So 18 viewers again now. So right at the top of it. We'll continue down this list for, like I said, a couple of more minutes. If nobody has any questions about the software itself, I am going to close this momentarily. So some more oil field. And now something I would think about here. This scan is looking for stocks breaking out of a 20-day range, essentially. Let's come into the configure. Hopefully it doesn't take forever to load like it was before. Okay. We come into the configure here, and this is asking us, or we're asking this scan to look for stocks between $4 and $30, the relative volume being 1, has to trade at 750,000 shares on the day. Position and range on today has to be 75% above the low of the day, and the position in the 20-day range, has to be 75% above the low of the 20-day range. So we're watching it break some different ranges here. And I like the closing towards the top of today's range to show strength going into the next day. Okay. So what we're noticing here from this scan, if we've been paying attention as we're going symbol by symbol, is that there's a whole bunch of energy on here, whether it's alternative energy or traditional energy. And so what do we know from this? Energy seems to be where money is flowing one way or another right now. And so this is a way that we can, again, continue to say to ourselves, whether we're running this scan or a curated list scan or a scan that's looking at the entire market, we could say to ourselves, wow, a lot of scans are pointing at energy, making new highs or new 20-day highs, breaking out of some ranges here. What does that mean to us? Does that mean that there's some more to be had on it? It certainly means that there's statistical probability in us moving in that direction in a continued direction of breaking those ranges for those stocks. So it's another way that I use this list to say, hey, over the last 20 days, what's in favor? How do you backtest a strategy with TI? Um, so we need to do it with an alert list, or an alert window, excuse me. So we can take, we're going to take this window over here, the moving higher with unusually high options volume from Mr. Barry, who runs the Traderz room during the day. I don't want to do it with these other lists because they're curated with symbols lists, so the results are skewed on those. When you take an alert window, it has to be an A in the corner here. We right click, we come to backtest strategy. All right, and we can set all the parameters from here. So the entry time, what time we'll start the strategy, what time the strategy ends. Okay, are we doing a time hold? All right, we can set it, the whole day. Are we holding the entire day? Or are we going to set it at a specific time of day that we exit the strategy? Or are we swinging it? We're selling on market open or market close a certain amount of days from now. All right, so we can do all those things here. We've got risk management we can set up. We can enable profit target or stop loss. We can do it in percent or dollars. There are some different there are different rules that the odds maker has versus, and I see your question, I'll get right to you in a second. There are some different rules that the odds maker has versus when you load a strategy into Brokerage Plus. The odds maker will let you use some stuff that you can't actually automate in the real world or set into a strategy in the real world. The reason why we left that stuff in the odds maker is because not everybody wants to bring their strategy over to Brokerage Plus. So we want people to be able to test it any which way they want, because not everybody's going to be using IB or E-Trade that we link to. But the reason why it doesn't transfer over to Brokerage Plus is because the brokers hold these orders. So it has to be an order a broker can hold. It's a bracket order that goes out. A broker can't take a bracket order that's going to constantly calculate a moving average, VWAP, RSI, so on and so forth. So it has to be a hard dollar target or hard percent target. Moving along in the advanced, all right, there's not a whole lot here that we going to mess with. There is some trailing stop stuff that we can put in here. Again, not all this stuff will transfer over to Brokerage Plus. And then we can set the back tester for how many days we want to back test it for. We can go up to 64 days. Sometimes this will cut down to 61 or 62 days based on market holidays during the week. That's the memory that our servers can hold at this time. Frequent request is to increase that. It's not so easy to do, but you have me campaigning on your side if you're one of those people. And that's more or less. And the summary here, it's going to tell us what it does. So, let's see, let's set an entry time of 9:50, timed exit. Let's hold the trade. Let's hold the trade for 90 minutes. All right, we're going to 89, 90 minutes. Okay. We're not going to put any other risk management in there. That's it. That's all we're looking at. We're going to back test at 64 days. All right, so here we go. We're going to start at 9:50 in the morning buying. We're going to stop buying at 3 o'clock. 90 minutes after the hold, we exit. Okay, and we're going to click simulate buy. And so, Anna, let's see here. Simulated trading. How can I change account value to 100,000? I can reset it back to 100,000. That's a default, but we can't set it to different numbers, unfortunately. That is what it is as far as the simulator goes. That's the default. So we can see that this has run complete here. The odds maker gives us some different equity curves here, all right, based on some different stuff. So you got your gross equity, commissions, and commissions, shares per trade. So, there's different items here that are going to affect us and this equity curve here, all right. So I have it set up for $1 per trade. I've got it set up for a penny per share on the commissions as well, just to try to get as accurate as we can for using IB, which is what I use. But this is only one tale to tell. Profit factor here, we look at total trades that happened over this time, average winner, average loser, drawdown, strategy projection, all this. However, it's easy to get an equity curve that goes straight up like this, simply by having 1 or 2 big days, and that's it. One of the things you really want to look at when you're back testing and optimizing is the daily. That is a horrible, horrible, horrible daily. Look at all those losers, all these losers, all these losers, all these losers, all these winners. All right. Not even a comparison between winners and losers on that. And so this strategy, while it is unbelievable manually trading the strategy, and Barry is just a wizard on the strategy that he created it, um, it does not work in the back tester well. We've tried to actually take the strategy and put Holly logic into it to create a Holly strategy out of it. Just won't take. And so some strategies are just meant to be traded manual, and that's all there is to it. And that's how that works for that. So that's a short and skinny of the back tester. Um, Now we can take the back tester a little further. If you're not familiar, we have the optimization tab here. Okay. In this optimization tab, we can start to break it down by time of day on the trades, and we can change the intervals. So we can change that. It's at 30-minute intervals. It's now a 5-minute interval now. So we can change these things and break down how many trades were in these different intervals. What are the win percentages, totals, averages, profit factors, and all that. So we can start to cut fat from our strategies. Now, again, looking at this here, we'd have to cut basically everything off on this. So a time of day isn't exactly where we want to head as far as that goes. We can look at price on these here too, how the price is affecting the strategy. We can come to all the other filters here. We can start to look at every other filter and how these filters affect, something like let's just find something fun to look at. Let's go with a gap percentage, right? So we can look at the gap percentage, and let's break it down into 0.25% intervals. All right. Now we've broken this down into 0.25% intervals, how many trades is in each interval, what they looked like, so on and so forth. And then from there, we could say, for example, if we saw a significant difference in, things that gapped a 0.25% up or more, we can right click and we can start to adjust the actual strategy itself. We could set a min value here, a max value. We could set it an in between min and max value, or we could just go right into the strategy itself, like so, in the configure window, and then start to change that ourselves there. And that's how the optimizer works in the back tester. It's short and skinny of it. And Anna, if you want me to reset the simulator for you, you can send an email into info@trade-ideas.com, because I won't be able to see what your account is through this right now. But if you go to here at trade-i.com, you send an email to there saying, hey, can somebody please reset my simulator? We can reset it back to 100,000 for you, wipe the data from it for you. So, we're at 4:40 now. I am technically off the clock from Trade Ideas. However, if we if people have questions, I'll stick around. I don't have anywhere else to be at the moment, so I'm happy to answer some questions here. If nobody's going to fire some questions, I'm going to start to wrap this up momentarily. Oh, you're welcome, Anna. Let me know if you have any questions. You hear, something you want to see, something you want to know. I stick around for a little bit. Anybody that's here, not going to go through a million charts because, well, first off, if anybody's ever listened to me before, I'm in all honesty, I'm a very, very mediocre trader. But I've only been doing it 4 years too. So the fact that I've survived 4 years of trading, I put that in the win column for myself, if nothing else. And I see, the numbers sticking around at 17 range. So, I can go back if you have specific questions there on the back tester or the optimizer or anything like that. I'm happy to go back. You know, demonstrate something else. We left off LRBT, excuse me. We are discussing how it's a lot of energy coming through this here. I can see VET as another one. MGY is another one. SLB, that's another one. These are all energies, most of them gas. However, SLB is a lithium. Halliburton, RRC, those are all energy plays. I believe every is another energy play. NOG is an energy play. SM is an energy play. No, SM is shipping, right? No, it is an energy play. So again, over and over again, all these are 75% above the low of a 20-day range. Okay. These are all breaking out of a 20-day range. Every one of these. That's a big, big deal to me. So, again, everybody wants the scan that shows me, give me a scan that shows me all the winners. Well, what if I give you a scan that shows you things that are currently winning on a time frame? You know, how do you want to take that data? How are you going to look at that data? Oxy, another one. Chmer, another one. So you've got over a dozen energy plays on here, all breaking out of a 20-day range right now. So again, pretty significant stuff. Oh, I got Barry yelling at me right now. Look at VTVT. This is one that can really go on a run. Seen this do it years ago. It's pretty big there. Holy mackerel. Let's see. Let's get a little post market up here. Properties. Show post market. No, I don't normally show post market on anything. They must have had news, FDA approval or something. Okay, I'm giving you guys the 90-second countdown. No questions come in. I will be closing this in 90 seconds. Okay. You're welcome, EK. But happy to. Like I said, we haven't put this official up on the site yet, or sent out any kind of email blast about it. But I'll be here 3:30 to 4:30 daily now. It looks like for at least we'll say at least the next month or so. So I have a symbol list is GBTC listed, but it will not show in a top list window using that symbol list. Wondering why is it the exchanges? So let's take a look here. What is GBTC? It's Bitcoin, right? Yeah. And we're on, yes, it's the exchange. So what you're going to want to do here is on that scan, right click, configure exchanges, and make sure you get these exchanges down here. I'll check pink OT, CBQ, OTC, QX. That looks like it's QX. Yeah, OTC QX. So you're going to need that checked, and that should get you what you're looking for. Boy, I remember this from a couple of years ago too. I think the price that it's at now. So that should get you fixed there. I had an issue years ago where I couldn't follow the VXX because it's a BATS, and I didn't have BATS checked. So been there, done that. So let me know if that helps there, Tixel. And we'll just do a fun little exercise here. So we're going to go new top list, all right? And we're going to go to symbols list. All right, and we're going to say single symbol only. So now I can make the scan only look at a single symbol. And so GBTC, all right. And so that's all the scan is now going to look at, is that symbol, all right. And we're going to make sure that we check the exchanges, all right. We're going to go to window specific filters. I'm going to get rid of all the filters here because I just want to make sure that the stock can come in. Hide unused, da-da-da-da-da. So there's nothing to block it. We'll come to the server sort. I always like to sort on change from close percent, just a personal 2 cents here. There's one last thing I'm going to cover here. There's 14 people in here. Hopefully, you're 14 subscribers. This will help. But let's set this up now. So we've got it all set up in the summary. There's no filters or anything. We're just sorting by change from close. And there it is. All right. So we got it in this list here. So it's a way to see, something isn't coming through. Maybe a number of reasons why something doesn't come through. It could be the exchange. On a top list, it could also be this. If we right click, we go to time frame, we go to set record count. That count there is the max amount of stocks that can populate that top list. So 100 is what it's set at. Now, at the risk of telling you all this and having you end up slowing down your entire platform, you can set this up to 1,000. However, keep this in mind. This comes back and forth to the server every 30 seconds. And whether 5 stocks are populating this list or 1,000 stocks are populating this list, if you set it to 1,000, it's going to try to return 1,000 options. And that's the data that it's going to attempt to carry. And so if you have 4 or 5 or 6 top lists that are set to 1,000, you can be sure that TI is going to slow on you. So try not to do that. I understand there are people that are trying to save massive amounts of data, put them in spreadsheets, save them as CSV files, and so on and so forth and all that. And so they want the max amount of data that's in there, and doing this after hours and things like that. So again, there's an infinite amount of ways that this data can be used and interpreted. So just a handy little feature there to know that if hey, the stock isn't showing up on my list and it meets the filters, there's a good chance that your set record count is too low for it to meet that list. The second thing here is on a top list, there are several ways that things are sorted and displayed. So we have the server sort. We come into the configure here, okay? And we come to sort. This is what we're sorting on from the server, meaning that the stocks that are going to populate on here first are going to be what we selected. So let's say that 500 stocks meet the scan, but only 100 are allowed on it because of set record count. The top 100 change from close percent stocks are the ones that are going to show up first. Next, we have the display, okay? So what the display means is we're going to get rid of this in this sense here. I'm going to tell it to look at the whole market now, okay? With no filters. And all this is going to do is look at the entire market based on change from close, and that's it. So now we look at stocks that have the highest change from close. However, that's the server is going to bring them in based on that. We are currently displaying, though, on volume today. So let's make this big and wide so you can see a little better. All right. And we see how this tab is indented in a little bit, the volume today percent. And we can see that it's in a descending order right now by that. But if I want to change the display on the sort to meet the server sort, I simply double click here. And now we're sorting in order from the biggest changes from close percent today. So we've got 1,600. I'm sorry, that's not 1,600. That's 1,000,000% change today. 1.6 million% change today. All right, 22,000%, 19,000%, because we're looking at every single market right now. So you got a lot of OTC pink sheet stuff that came in that, moving half a penny makes a difference. But my point being here is that we are looking now at sorting on the server from change from close and displaying it as that. Now there's this color scheme too, and I have it color schemed based on that change from close. So if we go to properties, we go to select colors, we can also see here that the color scheme is on the change from close percent. So all three are matching, giving me this nice set of gradient that will happen here, all right? We can change the color scheme to whatever we want, and we can see how it's gonna affect that scan in real time here, okay? So that, these are all different ways that we can display the data, how we want to look at it, how we want to interpret it, and how powerful the software truly, truly is. Let me take a look at what's realistic here and get rid of these OTCs just for a moment here. And we'll update the list and boom. And so you've got MRM as your big leader today and price movement on a percentage basis, all right? And in descending order, and all these different things here. So these are all listed stocks, actually. I was going to say it has to be a NASDAQ, IHT, so on and so forth. Um, so different filters look at the close in different ways. So I'm not sure exactly what you meant, but as far as regular market hours work from 9:30 a.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern. That's how that works. Um, there is a trick or a note to be made. So we have two filters that track a change from the previous day's closing price. You have change from close, whether it's percent or dollar, which is always calculating. And then you have a gap filter. Now, technically, a gap is a standard unit. That's it. Like stock gaps a certain amount, and that's the end of it. The gap never changes for the day. However, in the pre-market, the gap filter works like the change from close filter, but becomes solid at 9:30. So what that means is that let's bring up a pre-market chart here, or pre-market properties, show pre-market. So during this shaded area here, the gap filter is going to constantly calculate. But once we get to here, that gap is the gap. That's the end of it. The gap doesn't change anymore. So something that gap 3% on the market open. That will never change. It gapped 3%. That's what it gapped for the day. Its change from close continue to calculate though, because it's calculating from the 4 p.m. close of the previous day back here. And so that will continuously calculate throughout the trading day, where during the trading day, once the stock is gapped, that's what its gap is. Hopefully that makes sense. But other than that, 4 p.m. is the close. Everything else after that's post market, so on and so forth. So just for fun, I'll bring back up this chart. Very called out here. And it is still doing an insane amount of volume right now. So let me take a look at that here. 6K, it was just at 9 on the 1 minute volume. And again, all of our volume metrics, unless specified, are a 10-day average. So this is what 1 minute of volume has done on an average of 10K, or excuse me, on an average of 10 days. So right now it is trading 3,000 times its normal 1 minute volume, 1 minute period volume over 10 days. That's what that means. Trading almost 6K on the 5 minute, trading 12K on the 15 minute. That's what those volume metrics mean. So unless it says average volume over X amount of time, it's a 10-day. Relative volume, 10-day. 1, 5, 15, and we also do a 30 of these 10-day. Can I check Nike earnings? I can see when the earnings date is. And Nike, I mean, not exactly a stock I'd ever look to bet against long term. I mean that looks pretty bearish to me now. Got a massive curl down. It looks like it wants to get into this gap here. Earnings. Oh yeah, had earnings today, post market. Okay, yeah. So we got it. There's a chart of it. I don't know what the earnings report is. Get rid of some of the stuff that are drawn. But I mean, that gap had a beautiful run off that gap. Coming down here, we're making a house. Look at that. That's not an accident. I'll tell you that right now. So let's do that with a little better drawing tool though. Got that gap and we came down and we've tested that gap actually now. So move that into proper place. Now, I know it doesn't match up perfectly, but that doesn't always match up perfectly with technical analysis here. We've tested that gap. We pulled up coming into earnings. So it looks like people were believers in the stock going into earnings. I have to believe that most of the people buying the last week had to know earnings was coming today. I would like to think that. It's, 1.2 billion shares in the float. So that's not a stock that moves easily. That's for sure. I'll say that the after hours action is after hours action. I mean, look at that wick that trades down there. I mean, that's stuff that I just couldn't possibly fathom wanting to trade, especially at $150 a share. I would say this as far as looking at straight out what the chart says. This is a big level here. And again, look at that level here where it had trouble with before making that breakout is right where it got to, ran right into there today before fading off into earnings. So I think that's your level. All right. Um, that's your level. Above there, you're bullish. Below there, you're bearish. That's what I see personally. You take that for whatever it's worth. What else? Is there anything else to note there? I mean, there's nobody going big short on that whatsoever. Look at that, less than 1% on the short float. Got a -9 on the short growth here. What we're reporting from Next Core is our consolidated data provider. Um, Cash on hand, debt, very good stuff. Reported last 44 billion in revenue. I mean, are you kidding me? So yeah, and definitely a stock that benefited from the pandemic. A lot of people getting out, trying to get active, physical. Indoor stuff was closed. Get out, get on the trail, start running. Get a tennis racket. Everybody needs shoes for whatever you're going to play. Whether it's you need cleats or you need shoes. Nike's one of your top brands. So that's my 2 cents. Again, this is your line right here. Above there, you're bullish. Below there, you're bearish. You might consider this now as a range too. Here, if we get below it, bearish to this range. That's what I would say. That is a really, really big deal, though. This gap right here. That's a really, really, really big deal. There's a strong gap to hold too. So that's and again, I say this, Eric, again, if you weren't here from it, I am the world's most, at very, very, very best, the world's most mediocre trader ever. That's that. So I have no idea what the actual earnings or guidance are. I never look at that stuff. I just look at the charts. That's it. I would suspect that, and here's why I don't. A few times I ever paid attention to earnings and guidance was with Netflix when everything looked so good on paper and they just sold off for like a week before rebounding back to new all-time highs. So I can't make sense of earnings whatsoever. None of it makes sense to me. I don't understand it. I think those two lines is what you want to look at. That price action of those two lines. You can take a look at your broker for news. I don't know if I can pop out news here. See if I can pop this out. So yeah, here we go. I'll bring this over for you. Okay, apparently I can't pop it out. Sorry, I hardly use my interactive broker stuff. Oh, there we go. Bring over a screenshot of what I got here. Can't get it without my account information there. So here you go. This is what Nike says. Earnings per share 116. Company reported worse than expected Q1 sales. Misses estimates. Digital sales up 25%. EPS beats the estimates. Sales miss 12.2. There was up 12.46. I mean, what's a fifth of a billion between friends, right? So there you go. That's what you got for Nike news there. Any options on ATE? Oh, any opinions on ATER? That's been a big player recently. Da, da, da. Oops. Okay, ATR. Sorry, I was messing with something with IB and want to make sure I didn't screw up my IB layout. Not that I use it that much, but ATER, kind of a flagging pattern here. Um, it's a newer issue, electronic household, da 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 da. I'll say this is basically a rejection of that high there. Um, kind of this base swapping in here, but got pounded into the sand today, considering the market. So this is going to be trading on its own, I'll say. 82 million shares traded, or 82.5 million shares traded, doing well over its 10-day average still, even with these big days here. Yeah, it's a trader's tool. That's what I'd call it right now. I mean, unless you have like an inside beat on this type of sector or the stock, what it's doing, where it's going, things like that. It's a trading tool for now, is what I would call it. It's got a big range in price, which you want to see as a trader, as an active day trader, to both sides. So shorting it, going long. I would probably say let the momentum be your friend. So let's get rid of these pre and post market stuff here, because I don't like moving averages. I don't like looking at momentum of pre and post market. So we can see here today, I like an 8 EMA that it gapped down below that 8 EMA and made one close above it. And that's it on a 15-minute chart. And that 8 EMA was in control the entire day there. My suggestion to anybody, saying, oh, well, 8 EMA, is that special? No, I just happen to like it. I know more people that actually like the whatchamacallit, the 10 SMA as a fast line. Like I said, I happen to like the 8 EMA. It's just a personal preference. So I would say whatever you consider your fast line or your momentum line on whatever time frame you like. I like looking at 15 and 5-minute charts. That's what I got up here. I would say use that as kind of your guide for intraday momentum. As far as daily stuff goes, this is a crapshoot. I mean, 25 mil in the float, give or take. I'm guessing this was news. It had to be news, right? And not earnings, because earnings aren't until November. So, make what you will, but trying to play that as some kind of long-term hold play or anything like that. I mean, unless there's some reason to be accumulating the stock, you're going to have people that own it here and are going to start passing it here and here. And if it makes a move up again, they'll be passing it there and there, wherever those moves up are. So unless this supply is, this is probably a Wall Street Bets one, which is funny because I'm the one that manages the symbol for the Wall Street Bets. So a symbols list, but I just scrubbed the data from what's being talked on Wall Street Bets, and that's it. I just put it into the thing from there, based on an algorithm. So I suspect that's if you open the Wall Street Bets channel that we have, that's going to be on there. So this is my 2 cents. It's a day trading tool. Use it as such. Use whatever you think is a good momentum indicator, whether it be VWAP and SMA and EMA, so on and so forth. Kind of guide you on that momentum. And unless there's a real reason to own this stock, I know diamond hands and all that stuff like that. I just don't get involved in any of that. I know it all exists, but it's not anything that I particularly care to comment on. I hope everybody makes $1 million every day. That's just not reality of it. So what I know is that there's going to be supply here, and is the demand that's here going to meet the supply? That's what's going to happen. That's what's simple economics is going to come down to: supply and demand on this. And it's a cheap way out on it, but that's my 2 cents on that. So that be what I got. Let's see. I lose my, yes. Sorry, my external linking I lost on IB here. Oops. All right. Any other last minute questions? I've gone super overtime on this actually. So if we got last minute questions, yeah, you're welcome, CPU. If there's last minute questions on trade ideas itself, otherwise I'm going to shut us down for the day. We're going once. CEI. All right, one more. CEI. Energy. I love energy. I like that very much. So, my bias, my eye always goes to this. Now, I understand confirmation bias, so I'm going to see it whether it's there or not. That's what I see. I kind of cup and handle breakaway there. Natural gas, pull up a chart of U and G, right? U and G, that's natural gas, right? Look at that. And again, confirmation bias stuff, however, all right? That big run up, what comes up must come down. But, that seemed to be a big breakaway level right there. We tested it, and we're pulling back up again. And not for nothing, but everybody wants to make this big green push. There's no infrastructure for it whatsoever. We need natural gas to run stoves. We need natural gas to heat houses. We need natural gas to do all sorts of things. That's the bottom line. That's the way of the world right now. Good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter. What we care about as traders is those charts. And this chart says, again, we'll go back to CEI. Buy natural gas is what this chart says. What level to buy it? I don't know. You can see that it's something that I've definitely looked at. Those lines are old. They've been there for a while. But what we do is we update them. All right. And so we can see here, this was a big deal, this line here. We've tested it several times now, over several days. We broke out of it. Now this line becomes the test. All right. Psychological numbers are going to be very, very big on this. The psychological numbers when you're under $5 are going to be quarters. So, getting $2 is going to be a big deal from here. Getting $2.25 is going to be a big deal. Getting $2.50 is going to be a big deal. Getting $3 is a big deal. So as a trader utensil, those are the levels you want to watch. We can see here, this 8 EMA, very strong, holding that all the way in the day, but rejected at $2, all right? And that's not an accident that happened, all right? Everybody's looking at the same exact stuff here, and everybody's playing chicken with each other. Do I want to be in at $2? Do I not want to be in at $2? I had it here, I had 500 shares, 1,000 shares, whatever someone's got, you know what I mean? That's a good percentage run to have it from this range to here on a small under $2 stock. And so that's what you're looking at. These things, putting the puzzle together as far as that chart goes. I believe it's a newer issue too, right? Because no, it is not a newer issue. I am mistaken. Let's see. It's had a lot of reverse splits is what's gone on here because I'm looking at lifetime high now, 800,000, which is absolutely not true. So the other thing I'm going to look at here is the fact that look at all these times it's been rejected at these numbers, right around 3, right around 3. All right. Right around 2, or excuse me, right around $1.50 or so. Right around 2, right around 2, right around 2. None of those are accidents. So 100 mil in the float, but this thing can, on a percentage basis actually move. So it's something I like. And in fact, I like it so much, I'm going to track it. I'm going to put it on the my like list here. How would I follow momentum? I would use momentum, the momentum indicators that I like, 8 EMA. I have an 8 EMA on a daily, 15-minute, and a 5-minute chart. I have a 20 SMA on a daily chart and a 5 and 15-minute chart. This is a 50 SMA, which I kind of consider dropping. I just don't like a lot of stuff on my charts anymore. And this black line that you see here, it looks kind of like steps all through here. That's a low position of 20-day range. I like 20-day ranges. That's what I happen to like to look at. So it's an indicator that I put on there. You have access to that indicator if you want as well. You can change that. It doesn't have to be a 20-day indicator. You can make it whatever you want, whatever period you want. We have a low and high for those. But that's what I see. The other thing that we can come to here for looking at momentum is when you have an EMA and an SMA like this. And you can pick. I've seen people like a 13 EMA and a 50 SMA. Those work great too. Same kind of concept. When you start to see you get spreading here, all right, that means momentum is picking up. When you see the moving averages start to close in on each other, you're losing momentum. That doesn't mean that the price action is necessarily going to fall. You can see sometimes that the price action comes into each other on those moving averages and then explodes up. So for example, you've got a nice spread through here, and as you see it close here, all right, you get the boom and the move and the spread back up again as they closed in and out. So these are the kind of things that we look at and try to make our best anticipation based on what we know on charts, what our trading plan is, why we enter, how we share size. That's our trading plan and all that. So that's my 2 cents there on CEI. I'm going to put a like on it because why not? I like energy. I like that. Looks like it has some potential percentage-wise to make some big moves. 100 mil in the float, kind of curious that 100 mil float stock can make moves like that, but anything is possible. So that is that. So, okay, with that, quarter after the hour, I went extra overtime. I'm going to kill the stream. Again, anybody that's here now, there's the live Q&A stream at noon Eastern every day that we're doing. We've been doing that for a long time now. I will be running this from Barry will shut down at 3 o'clock like normal. There's going to be a half an hour pause there. And at 3:30, I will start the stream daily, Monday through Friday. If I get some action in here, we get people coming in, talking. I am trying to make the focus of this, learning the platform, discussing trade ideas. We can go over charts, of course. I'm, no CMT. I'm no expert. But, for whatever it's worth, I will discuss charts if that's, something we want to do. The idea is to run this from 3:30 to 4:30. If there are people around on days where I can stick around later, I will do so. So thank you, CPU. Appreciate that. Appreciate everybody who's in here. Appreciate the questions, the interactions. And I will kill this broadcast and see you all back here at 3:30 tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.